Hi there. Wanted to create this video especially for marketers to show you how you can get started using Python in your everyday work. I'm going to show you why I love it and how easy it is to get started. I'm going to take an example that I think we've all run into, and that's data normalization. So you get this list or just data from anywhere and it's all muddy and you need to clean it up. You want to standardize it. So what I have here is pretty common. We got some leads that have full name as their country. We want to change that to the 2-letter ISO code, and we can use Python for this pretty easily. So hopefully you'll watch this. I'll take you step by step and you'll see how you might be able to apply it in some other areas as well. So looking at the script, first thing we're going to do, we need to import a CSV, and this is going to come on a little bit later. So this is a standard library in Python. I'm not going to cover libraries right here, but just know that you can do it in any version of Python that you have. The first thing we're going to do is create what's called a dictionary. So you can tell that it's a dictionary because it has curly braces on the end. Canada here, the full is called the key, separated by a colon, and then CA is the value. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking up the key of a certain dictionary item and retrieving the value. So when a lead has a value of Canada, it's going to return CA. Same thing for United States and US. We'll also do the same thing for states. So again, all of these, Alabama is a key, Alberta is a key, Alaska is a key, and then CO is the value, ON is the value, etc. So these are dictionaries. They're very helpful to be able to take one piece of information and translate it into what you actually want. So the first thing that we're going to do, and let me open up my file here. So we'll see that this is a CSV file that I have. So name, country, and state is the header. So we have Brian from the United States and Colorado, Edith, Canada, Ontario, Jason, United States, Wisconsin, etc. But we want to get United States and Colorado into US and CO. So I'm just going to minimize this for the time being. Come back to my script. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to open this CSV file with Python. So I'm using with open so that this is going to create a file and then be able to loop through it. So we're opening the marketing data normalization CSV. We're going to read it, which is R, lowercase r, in between apostrophes, or not apostrophe, quotes. And then I'm also doing the encoding as UTF-8. You don't necessarily need to do it, but I've run into enough issues where there will be an error, an encoding issue. So I generally do it anytime I'm reading a file. You don't need to, especially in this example. And then I'm going to open it as open underscore CSV, which we'll see in the next step. So now I'm creating a variable called CSV Reader, and then I'm using this CSV library and what's called the dict reader. So this is where if you have headers in a CSV, it'll actually read those. Otherwise, you could also do CSV.reader, but then you're going to be using like numbers in an index to read the headers. So instead of a column being called name, it might be column 0. So here we're using what's called dict reader, and then I'm also specifying which file we want to read from, which is OpenCSV that we declared up here. So now I want to iterate through all of the lines of this CSV. So I'm saying for row, and this is just a variable. I call it row because it makes sense to me. You could be whatever you want. For row in CSV Reader, and now I'm creating 3 more variables. So I have name, and I'm getting, let me open that CSV again. We'll see, so I'm getting row name, row country, and row state. So that's what all of these are doing. So I'm just going to run through this and I'm going to print those out. So I'm going to print name, country, and state. And we'll see it's basically what that CSV file looks like. But we don't want that. We want the cleaned values. So I'm going to comment this out. And anytime you see either a hashtag or a pound sign, that's just commenting it out. So if you want to add documentation to your scripts, you can do that. And also I find it useful in videos like this where you don't want a specific thing to run, you can just comment it out. So, but now I'm going to create a variable called cleaned country. And here you'll see I'm looking at the country's dictionary and I'm passing the value of the country. So for Brian, that's going to be Colorado. For Edith, that's going to, or I'm sorry, for Brian, that's going to be United States. For Edith, it'll be Canada. And then it should return whatever that value is for that key. I'm going to be doing the same thing for state. So again, calling the state's dictionary, not calling, looking up the state's dictionary and passing along the value of the state from here. So now let's run that, and I'm going to print out, so now I'm printing out the name from up here, but now instead of country and state, I'm printing out cleaned country and clean state. And we'll see that that did exactly what we wanted. So now everything is looking very nice here, and we're set to go. But all we did here was print these values. It doesn't do us much good. We actually want this written to some sort of a file. So we can do that as well. I'll come down here. I'm just going to copy this. One thing that is important that I didn't mention earlier is, and one thing that I love about Python is indentation is very important. So like when we created with this open, everything under is happening with this file being open. Same thing for row in reader. All of these are happening within each row of the CSV Reader, and this will make more sense as you get to working with it, but it's something that I really like. It makes sense to me, so I hope you like it too. So we're actually going to change the indentation a little bit here, and we're actually using a different, we're going to use a CSV Writer now, so I'm going to make this up here. So what I've done here is I'm opening a new CSV file, and I'm actually creating it. So it's called Marketing Data Normalization Cleaned.csv. And here, instead of the R, we're going to write new line. This will keep it, this will not have extra line breaks in your CSV. Again, encoding again as UTF-8. And here I'm creating this as a file called, or as a variable called create CSV. And now I want to indent all of this because I want this all to be under this reader. Next, I'm going to, so this down here we had CSV Reader. Up here I want CSV underscore writer. And again, it's a dict writer because we're going to pass along some header field names. So in here, I'm referencing that create CSV from right up here. And then here's the field names that I want for the CSV: name, country, and state. Then the next thing we're going to do is just write the header. So what this does is in that CSV file, it'll write that first row of name, country, and state, and then everything else will just be a row after that. So then down here, instead of, I'll just comment this out. Instead of printing those names, we're going to write the row itself. So the way the dict writer works is you always have to pass along which column so that it knows which value to write to which. So here, name up here is equal to our name variable, country is equal to cleaned country, and state is equal to clean state. So now we'll run this, and it's done. And we'll come up here and we'll see now I have a file that we can upload or do whatever we want with, but it's nice and clean. So that'll make our lives a lot easier. So that's really all you need to know, but I'm going to show you one bonus thing because you might be looking at this and saying, yeah, Jason, I see how you're doing that, but I have over 270 countries, or I forget what the number is. I don't want to spend all that time making a dictionary of all these different items. And I hear you. So one thing that we can do is I'll come down here and I'll just have this be kind of separate here. It doesn't need to be, so ignore the spacing on this. But what I have is I have a countries from CSV dictionary that I'm creating, and I'm creating it empty. So you can just do the curly braces, and that just creates an empty dictionary, but at least we can add items to this. And now I do have a CSV that you can create from really anywhere that will have the country and country code. So I'm going to go through this and build a dictionary off of this. So, this is, I forget how many, 247 rows. So if you have a CSV file or something like that, we can actually go through that and build a new dictionary. So I'm opening that country codes.csv. Again, we're reading it, UTF-8, and this time I'm calling it CC file just to keep it different. Again, CSV Reader, and we're reading dict reader of CC file. Same for row in reader, and country code. So just looking back, scroll all the way to the top here. Country and country code. And then, so now what we're doing, which is kind of similar to actually getting a value from a dictionary, is we're going to assign a value to a dictionary. So same thing here, we're looking at countries from CSV, so we're using that dictionary, but we're saying that we want the country to equal the code. So we're going to do that for each row, and then we're going to print out the dictionary. So let me run that now, and we'll see that that's what it's done. So really simple way to even create dictionaries so that you don't have to type all of that out, and a lot of this is stuff that you already have documented somewhere, so it should be pretty easy to do. So hope this helps. I hope it makes you excited about using Python as it does me. Always leave questions if something wasn't clear, or reach out to me. I'd love to answer your questions and help you get started.